Ain't got this shit knocking though.
Alrighty. We're back with another episode of the Not So Cool podcast. We have two very cool people.
It's up for debate, but yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We got Mrs. Jessica Whitaker and Stu, Clementz. Stu Clementz, two very talented photographers with us today. Happy to have y'all.
Thank you.
So to be here.
We're so happy to be
Oh
here.
man, it's been we're happy to have y'all. We're definitely happy to have y'all.
In other words, it's like a backstory, but we're not going to share it with you guys.
No.
That's
No, share the backstory. We need to hear the backstory.
Oh, so we reached out to them. This happened, that happened, this happened, that happened. But we moved the world and we made this happen because you're from New York, correct?
Yeah. Well, I'm originally from Seattle, but I moved to New York City in October, so a few months ago.
Okay, cool. And you're down here for a workshop?
Yeah. So we have a company called Build and Bloom. It's a nonprofit that I started in October 2016, and we launched workshops this time. Well, we started planning workshops this time last year, July 2017, and then we had our first one in Seattle, Washington, in February, and then LA was in March, and then New York City was in May.
Yeah.
And then now we're here in Texas, which is so exciting.
That's
because
so crazy to say.
we don't have really, I mean, we have affiliation with Texas, but with New York, Seattle, and LA, we both are either from there or live there. So it's more just like, just like hanging out with my friends, whatever. But this is like, we're all getting on an airplane.
Like we rented a car.
Yeah.
It's like real. It's like real.
So there's no roots here, really, is what you're saying.
Well,
I have roots here, but it's still like only lived here for a year. I was born like way South Texas, or raised in South Texas, I should say. But like this is still like business trip. You know, you fly and you're in a rental car, you get
like
Airbnb.
tax write-offs.
Yeah.
Those are the best.
So how did Build and Bloom start? Like, what made you start? Because you said it started in 2016. You got the idea in 2016?
Yeah, so it started as a Facebook group, and we're still on Facebook. We actually just passed 50,000 members.
Oh, wow.
50,
Congrats.
000. So we're one of the top Facebook groups for photography. And so I launched it in October of 2016 just as a space targeted towards young photographers, because there are a lot of Facebook groups out there that are super popular and amazing resources, but the audience is a lot older and it's a lot more also professional, if you will. I'm using like air quotes, but more serious. And so I found, if I'm like posting this group, I love to type in all caps and I speak in all caps. And so I wanted a space where I could still kind of be like silly, but still share my work and also other thoughts. I love to go, one of my like traditions, like every single evening, basically, because I had no life in Seattle, is I'd go on like Facebook Live. At the time, it was a new feature with like my spot treated acne or like a face mask or something, and I just talk about photography questions, and people loved that because it kind of brought this new element to something that is like kind of more serious, if you will, photography art. But the thing is, though, photography and art in general is so like as artists, we're also like weird, at least like I am, or like I hate the word quirky, but like quirky or whatever, like silly. And so I think that the group should reflect that so that really everyone can reach their full potential and feel safe and comfortable. So it's a place where people can, or kids, I mean we have adults too, but sorry, this is where I'm like, can y'all edit? Because I don't know what's coming out of my mouth right now. But where they can feel like they can share their work or ask client questions. So I started my YouTube channel for photography to funnel people into Build and Bloom. Mm-hmm. And so I, though, only can answer one perspective on a question, and I cannot answer everybody's DMs, unfortunately. But in Build and Bloom, they can post a question or concern or whatever it might be, or even like a gear recommendation, and then they can get like 50 people.
Oh, yeah. It's like a community of people that have a similar interest and everything.
Yeah.
And I do agree with you. Like a lot of the groups that I'm in photography-wise, I put a comment in there like, "You're an idiot. How do you not know that?"
And I'm just like, I know.
I'm sorry. I apologize. So I'll take my question away. So,
delete the post.
Those are those older groups, though. Like they expect you to know everything. And it's like,
yeah.
And so
I went to a camera store the other day and I was like buying a studio light setup, and this is like the first time I've ever done a studio shoot. And I asked the dude a simple question. I was like, "Hey, would you mind like telling me what you think, like how you think I should put these lights for this kind of shoot?" And the dude, like, he said like, "Well, what is it for?" And I was like, "Oh, it's like for this campaign I'm doing." And he was like, yeah, like I need to charge you for that information. And that's exactly how it's like in the older Facebook groups. And I looked at him and was like, dude, like I've dedicated my life to democratizing every single tool or piece of knowledge I own. And you're going to tell me that. I was about to slap the taste out of his mouth. I wanted to hop over the counter. I was like, dude, come on. But like, that's how the other Facebook groups are like. It feels like that in-person
At the extreme. There are some really great ones that I'm personally a part of.
Okay, yeah.
But
Can't drag every Facebook group.
Not everybody's that bad. There's a few bad apples in the bunch, but I mean, because I've run across some older photographers who are like super, they'll give you all the knowledge in the world, and then there's some that are just like, no, it's all mine. $1,000 just to say hi to me. And it's like,
one thing I think is that people they love to focus on the negative more than the positive. So in those other like Facebook groups, even probably in Build and Bloom too, it's more amplified to us that there's more negative experiences or whatever, because we're the ones experiencing it, and when people just love to like feed off of that kind of stuff. But yeah, so
for you, how did photography start? Like, when did you first start realizing, hey, I want to be a photographer, or did it just come about?
So, okay, photography started in the MySpace days for me. I want to say when I was like 13 or 14 years old. So I got a MySpace profile when I was 13, and y'all, I had to beg my mom, but my cousin had one, so I was like, please. So everyone, you can like customize your profile, HTML, that's where I learned, and so you could have albums of your work. And so my mom had a small point and shoot, I think it was like a Canon PowerShot, and the screen was like 1/4 of an inch big. And so I just started using that, and the earliest shoot I remember is I was with two of my family friends, Dana and Kayla, and we were in the house I grew up in Seattle. And like we were in my hall bathroom upstairs, which was super long and narrow, and so I had like this much space between the tub and the counter, and we would like flip the shower curtain over, and then the white shower curtain liner would be like your seamless white paper. And so then with that though, I was like, okay, the light in here is trash, you know what I mean? And so I took a standing floor lamp from IKEA. Sorry, I'm so specific, by the way, and I cannot answer a question in like one sentence.
No, you're fine. Give us all the information. Give us everything.
So I used that as our light source. Like, turn the light off, just use that. Use PowerShot, brought it downstairs. My family was hanging out, like my aunts, and then stuff, and they're like, this is so good.
And this is during MySpace, right?
Yeah, this is the MySpace period. So then I posted to MySpace, which, my MySpace is on private because I'm like 13 and whatever. So only like my 3 friends on MySpace saw it. But I just kind of kept pursuing it. And a lot of my friends in my church were really into photography. Everyone was getting cameras were starting to become accessible at Costco, like the point and shoots. I remember my friend had like a lime green one, and I was like, why lime green? Get the pink one, whatever. And so, but I only had that PowerShot until I think it had to be like 2 years later. I got like a little Nikon Coolpix thing. It was like it's like a mirrorless almost, but it doesn't have the detachable lenses, whatever. I got that for Christmas, and I was like, I really want a DSLR. My neighbor, she had this DSLR. It was a Nikon from Costco. She had the kit lens and everything, and I was like, oh my gosh, the background's so blurry. This is wonderful, And so she let me borrow it, and I just started saving for that Nikon, bought it, loved it. I love Nikon. I don't know why I switched to Canon. And then I actually found a really good deal a few years later on a Canon 5D Mark II. And then I can't answer. I don't know how to answer questions.
No, I mean, and I love that you did that whole background story, because you gave people perspective.
Yeah.
Like, she's been shooting since, MySpace. So a lot of people think that, where you're at might have happened overnight, or everybody has like their excuses for why you're where you're at versus just a bunch of hard work and staying consistent.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that you did that. That's really dope. And then you mentioned Costco, and you mentioned Nikon, you mentioned Canon. So these are all different brands. I don't know if you work with these brands in particular.
I wish, but
So we noticed that you work with a lot of brands, and we're curious about, how do you develop those relationships? Is it a they find you or you find them type thing?
So when I first started out on social media, it was my sophomore year of college. I was going to design school in New York City, and that's when I had always been really fascinated with it, and it was starting to come up, and I was like, ooh, Instagram, what's this? And at the time though, Instagram, when it first came out, like my youth pastor was on Instagram, and like, I don't want to do what Pastor Matt's doing, that's lame, So I didn't really look into it, but as I was going through school, it started to become more and more of a thing and popular. I don't know what year it was when I was in college, but it was like 5 years ago or so. So I started getting more interested in it, and then I like developed, I don't know how, or like it was all just self-taught. I realized that I wanted to just experiment in this, not to become an influencer, but because I was interested in the marketing side. And at the time, my design school didn't have a degree for digital media marketing. And it was only until I graduated, literally left Bellevue College, my last day of class, and my business professor was like, oh, now we have a digital marketing program, whatever. So I was like, okay, if there's no degree for this, I really want to learn it. And there's not a lot of resources because this was like 3 or 4 years ago. So what was I saying?
We're going into how
brand. So I just started like realizing that I need a specific demographic and a specific angle for what I wanted to do. And then I would just start reaching out to brands myself. And so I did at our Build and Bloom workshop, which we're doing later today, Stu talks more about how to reach out to brands in a more efficient way. But at the time, I would just like Google keywords. So I'd be like, okay, I really want to work with like an online clothing store, but like I can't just Google online clothing store because like ASOS is going to pop up or something. So I would search specific things, and then I would like, let's say for instance, like high-waisted mom jean online clothing store. And then sometimes I'd even go so far to add in another city or something, because those smaller stores were way more likely to work with me who had like -1 followers, you know? And so then I just like go to their contact page on their site. If they didn't have the email listed there, then I would just search everything, but I knew I couldn't contact anyone through contact page. I had to go directly. So I just like kind of self-taught myself that. Twitter, Instagram, I realized keywords were super important for Twitter too, and just building that specific market. And so that's how we started. and then I realized I didn't really I kind of learned what I learned, not everything, but I learned a lot, and I wanted to do social media. So then when I moved back from New York City, I took a job being a social media director for a year for a medical laser spa. And so they had 3 locations. Yeah, but it was a really good experience. It was super fun. It was a lot of Facebook ads, Instagram, Twitter, that kind of thing. I built an influencer program for the Seattle bloggers there, and it did successful. So it was really fun. But then I realized I wanted to do this for myself, but I didn't want to do fashion blogging or whatever, because I wear the same white t-shirt every single day. But I love photography, so how can I tie that in? There was a need for that. This was before Build and Bloom even came into my mind or whatever, and so I started doing photography videos, and that's why I'm here. Yeah.
No, Stu, you're good, man. Thank you so much. And I say man, non-gender specific. So I call everybody bro. Like I call hey, what's up, mom? And then sometimes I'm like, what's up, bro? You know, so. But you said that you have a more background on the marketing. Specifically how to go about the brand searching or things like that. Could you give us some insight on that?
Yeah. So I tell everybody about this at every rally too. Basically, my whole thing started when I started reaching out to brands, and it started the same way. It's just literally going and looking for emails. But then I met this guy named Jacory, and Jacory started a big agency called H Collective for a while, and he was working with them, and he started learning about tech. So he would call me every day, and we'd have these phone calls, and he was like, dude, I'm learning about sales funnels and how to onboard brands into an agency. I think we should do this for ourselves. And so we kind of he built this onboarding flow for brands and reaching out and sending out mass emails that involved a tool called Streak, where you'd basically first what we do is you go to Urban Outfitters or ASOS or any big shop that has a ton of brands stocked within them. Mm-hmm. And we'd go and you just you could type at the anchor, you could type /brands or /stock. And you'd get an unlimited list of brands that you'd want to work with. Because Urban Outfitters, we'd shoot for any brand in Urban, because Urban has dope stuff that we love. Yeah. So we'd go through, we'd copy all of it, and we'd format it into one thing, and then put it in a column in Google Sheets. And then we have a list of brands that we love. And then from there, we created a shortcut where we'd press Command K, and we'd get a website link for each brand. It would search it, and we would just copy, paste. And we would literally do these 24-hour lock-ins where we get a whole column of domains and then run it through an email hunter where we basically drop all these domains, and it'd give us 10 personalized emails for each company. And then we'd use Streak, which is a mass pipeline where you could just funnel yourself to where you input all your leads, and it sends out personalized emails. It knows the email by name, it knows the brand, and you're sending out 1,000 personalized emails saying, hey, at Anthropology or at Urban Outfitters or whatever, love your guys' brand so much. I'm doing this road trip with some friends. Here are the influencers on board. Check out our pricing deck. We'd love to bring you on. And we're sending these out, and we're sending out 2,000 leads a day, and you just take them through this funnel. And so what started as a bunch of kids, keep in mind, we were 18, 19, and it started as a bunch of kids we would just copy paste an email, go on Instagram, just contact email. And it went into this robust system of like building a flow that will make sure no photographer ever goes broke. Like there is no way we cannot work with, like I've taught this to friends who like, actually, I won't name names because that'd be rude, but actually do not know a single thing about what they're doing behind a camera. They pick one up, but if you just use this funnel, like out of 5,000 brands you email in 2 days, one of them is bound to say yes. Yeah. And so that was kind of the goal behind that, was to create something that was like a tool that could help.
I'm super sure. Because I've always in my mind, I'm like, there has to be an easier, because I'm a firm believer of automating things. Oh, yeah. And I'm like, if there was a way to automate and email all these people at one time, then it's more realistic versus sitting in front of the computer. And like you said before, you were like trying to find emails. That's a lot of, man hours and everything. But the way you're saying it is just, it's crazy. Yeah,
automating that email funnel has allowed us to get all the sponsors we get for Build and Bloom, because like once you learn like how to reach out to people you need to reach out to at scale, like that's the broad scheme of what we did. You can do that to create a sales funnel for any business. And that's when I realized too, I was like, okay, screw photography. This is way cooler. Because this, like, Ja'Cory taught me, he's like, dude, anything you don't know, anything you can think of, you can learn through Google. And so we would just go on Google and we would like literally Google any idea we had. And then that went to us like starting to work for brands, like building sales funnels for brands to sell products and stuff like that. And so like, even getting to be here now from a year ago, we had no idea what we were doing. And we just kind of slowly, Jessica and I just pieced together different pieces of knowledge we had. And then like, it just kind of turned into this, like us being in Texas right now. Which is
I'm super shook.
I'm like,
I quit.
Come to the workshop today.
No, come to the workshop.
Can't keep up with that.
You'll get the full brief of it. It's actually really cool.
That's crazy. And you said you were around 18, 19 when you started doing all this?
Yeah, so I started my first agency at 19, but it was all fake until you make it thing.
Yeah,
and that's how I met Ja'Cory. He was running that agency, and he saw my agency online, and he calls me off Instagram because I have my phone number on Instagram still. Nobody call me though if you're listening to this podcast. But he calls me randomly one day, and I'm like, hey, who is this? And he's like, this is Ja'Cory, I own H. And I was like, oh my God, like I followed this dude for so long. I was like, why are you calling me? And he was just like, so we did our competitive analysis today, and your agency came up, and I figured I'd call you and find out like who you are. And I was like, listen, man, I just built a Squarespace site. Yeah. I was running a community called Hive in Houston, and we were just doing these big meetups, and it was really, really cool. Yeah, and then, so we're having these meetups. It was really cool.
Sorry,
but then,
important detail I forgot.
I've heard of the Hive.
Yeah. So I started Hive a long time ago, and it was really cool. We were having meetups, but then when I figured out this like onboarding funnel, I decided to like start using Hive as a platform to pimp out creatives. I'd have brands coming on board at scale, and I'd throw the work out to other creatives. And it was like very minimal like lifting. There was nothing big going on, but I made it look huge online. Like if I worked with a brand within Urban Outfitters, say it was like literally an earring company that had 2 pieces of jewelry, I would put it on the site as like Urban Outfitters as a client. Yeah. And so he calls me and he's like, yo, like, who are you? Like, when did you come into this space? Like, you came up on our competitive analysis. You're doing all this stuff. And I was like, I'm just faking it, man. And he loved it though. And so he's like, yo, I come out to California. So I moved out to California with like $80, and we like ended up working together at a tech startup. Yeah.
The dream.
It was crazy.
It's like a whole documentary right there. Yeah. That is really dope. And so how did y'all two meet?
Okay, do you want the full story? Because it's really funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can condense it into like 2.5 minutes.
Okay,
Yeah.
So we met on Instagram live stream. I was coming back from Scotland with my friend Jenny, who's also been like an OG Build and Bloom. She's speaking at the workshop. I'm acting like you guys are you listening are gonna have notice to come to the workshop. It's literally happening in 30 minutes from now. But like, so we were coming back from a trip from Scotland, and her bag was like, sorry, I love details, so just edit out whatever you don't want to include. So her bag was like delayed or something, and so I was just waiting by the security guard at the San Francisco airport, whatever, on Instagram. And then Stu went live, and he had been referred to me by one of my other friends on Instagram because I was like, oh, who are some like guy photographers I should follow? Like everyone that I follow is girls, whatever. So backwards because there's way more, whatever. Anyways, so I followed him. He went live, and I was like, hey, who is this? And then I feel like I forgot how we
Well, from
It's
there,
really
I'd taken this really weird job over the summer running marketing and photography for a farm in the middle of nowhere, California. Like it was like, I got dropped. Yeah, it was.
We
between,
got cows.
Yeah, no, literally, it was so bad. I get like the bus is taking me there. They shuttled me in a bus, and like I'm like, hey, I have no service, and I've had no service for an hour, and then we're on this farm, and I'm living in a tent, and I was like, all right, this is not what I expected. And I ended up convincing, though, like they saw the way I was running a sales funnel, and they were like, hey, like, do you want to run our marketing? And I was like, yeah, let me run an influencer campaign. At the time, I was using a tool called Dovetail where you could search influencers, and it was a Christian ministry. So I was like, oh, like, let's run an influencer campaign with Christian bloggers that are like this age and have this demographic. And I was like, wait a minute. I was like, I already know some. I know Jessica. And we like, I'd gone to Seattle for like a photo shoot for something. And so we had grabbed dinner once. So I call her. I'm like, hey, like, do you and Jenny want to come out to this lodge in the middle of nowhere and like go through a program and just post about it on Instagram? And she's like, yeah. And so we end up meeting there, and we're like sitting in this room one day after we had just done some photo shoots or something and talked about influencer campaigns and stuff. And yeah, wait, what was his name?
Okay, so I had been contacted for the last like 9 months, 6 months about doing my own photography workshop through this other, they're almost like a venue agency. Like they own like a few venues all around the world. And so they had been like emailing me constantly. And I'm like, I don't want to do workshop by myself. I just like, who am I? You know what I mean? It's just too, I don't know. It's too much.
Yeah.
So I always ignored it. And then I met Stu and I was like, hey, do you want to get on the Skype call with me? And so we got onto a Skype call and it turned out to be a scam. It was so funny.
The dude was like in his hut in Hawaii in like a wife beater, and he's just chilling there. And,
it's like the weirdest angle. So we're like, maybe not.
Yeah.
So he hung up, and then Stu was like, well, why don't we just do our own workshop? And I was like,
because we have like a Facebook group, like at the time, like 40,000 creatives. Yeah.
So Build and Bloom, I think, was at 30K. So we had a really good standing. Really? Yeah, I think so.
Oh, geez,
like 25, 30.
Yeah.
So, well, it had been like almost a year.
Okay.
Or it had been like 9 months. My Facebook group grew really fast. So we had a lot of members. And so Stu suggested doing workshops, and then we just spent the entire rest of the remainder of the summer until like September building out a curriculum that we would teach. We planned to do 14 cities. We ended up doing like 8 of the 14 though, but now this year. And so things just didn't work out with us just because we were both moving to completely different areas. It was the wrong timing in our own life to put into other people, you know what I mean? Like it just wasn't the right season. So we had everything basically built, like our curriculum was written, whatever, and then we decided to relaunch it later. I don't even remember. I probably just called you. Just like, can we just do workshops again? And then he's like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, actually, it happened perfectly because I ended up going into the tech startup in LA, and then she was moving to New York. And like when you do a big move across the country, like you got to hustle, like to like make everything back and everything. So we were both like just on our grind. And then out of nowhere, like I quit, and then like everything just worked out. She calls me and she's like, "So if you're not doing anything, like you want to like help out our workshop?" And then we started doing this again. And if this is a video, we need to give you a photo to post of like the wire frames for Build and Bloom, like the whole like funnel for building like each workshop in every city, and like how we would reach out to vendors and everything like that.
And we got vendors. We had venues. We were ready to go. It was just our own personal, like we cannot pour out into other people if we're not So
that whole thing though was basically we had these big glass windows, and we were joking about like those like tech guys that have like the glass like dry erase board, and they're like drawing on like in an investors meeting. So I go like with an expo marker to the window, and we start writing out ideas, and like it's actually so great. Yeah,
we would love to see that photo.
Yeah,
it's very iconic.
But that's where Build and Bloom was built.
Skype call too. Sorry, I'm like
it was like basically built on a window. We drew it on a window.
Here we are.
That was something, Mike?
Oh yeah.
No, I saw you like raise your hand.
Oh no, I'm just listening. I'm just taking it all.
Taking it all in.
Y'all have done a lot within like it seems like about a short amount of time. It seems like a year and a half since y'all.
We haven't even known each other a year.
Yeah. Oh wow, yeah. So that's even crazy.
We literally decided to start a business together 3 weeks after we met.
Hey, you want to take over the work? Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
So how does that work? Because you just mentioned that. So like, how do you just know I want to start something with this person? Like you just met them.
It's the same way I wanted to start something with you, Mike.
I didn't like that look.
Yeah. I didn't even when I heard his voice, I didn't even want to look him in the face. I know that voice.
So go ahead.
I don't know. I feel like I just have really good discernment for people, and I don't know. Like, I'm just so thankful that God put Stu into my life. 'Cause we're both Christians, and so I don't know how to answer it.
No, that's really dope that you guys like keep mentioning your faith. Big time. That's
Yeah.
big ups.
Yeah.
Like in the world that we're in, a lot of people forget, to have. Yeah, so it's really
Gotta
dope.
have faith in
Gotta have
everything
faith,
that you
yeah.
do. That's very, very,
Very
important. So
important.
that's dope. I mean, just to even take that leap of faith with each other, and that
Yeah.
now that you're here in Texas, like you said, that's crazy. That's
I mean, like, our values, it wasn't even just our values that aligned. It was the fact that, like,
It's
I
our
was
words.
coming out of running a community where, like, I put so much work into running that. Like, the same, like, you guys know how you guys are doing something great for the community, too. Like, I wanted to do a podcast for so long. I think podcasts are amazing because as photographers or whatever, all of us are driving at sunset to a shoot through traffic. And what are we going to listen to? We're going to probably listen to a
The Build and
podcast.
Bloom podcast. Right, this one.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to listen to a podcast. But, like, basically, I was coming out of running a community where I was doing these free meetups. I was putting, like, all of my money into it, and I wasn't making anything back. And she was doing the same thing with Build and Bloom. She was putting a ton of time into it. And so we realized, like, if both of our goals are to help creators monetize or help them figure out how to build their brand, like, we might as well join forces because we both have tools.
So with Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and now with and Twitter, and now with Build and Bloom, how are you managing all these different platforms?
Yeah, so delegation, we have 2 people who work on all of the social media management for Build and Bloom because we're on most platforms, mostly Twitter, Instagram. We have it as a feature page right now to grow it, and then obviously our Facebook group. And the Facebook group is kind of what gets, I think, the most attention, just because that's where we have everybody. And when you click publish on a post, it goes to everybody's notification box, and also an email newsletter list. And then for me personally, I just focus on Instagram, Twitter, and then YouTube. I have like Snapchat, but like, okay, so I just do that through Trello, or I really like writing stuff out. So I'll have a specific planner from Target where it's like one of those big month planners where I write down all of the posts that are supposed to get scheduled. So if I post like a photography tutorial on Monday, I schedule that out throughout the entire week to just continue to get promoted, because with the new algorithm with Instagram and Facebook, because they're the same company now, I know that not everybody's going to see my posts, so I never feel like self-conscious now that I'm annoying somebody, whereas maybe before. So it's not that difficult. It just takes a lot of time. So like Sunday or Monday, like if I'm in the office on Sunday or Monday morning, I'll plan out everything for the week. But I just do it by week. I can't plan a month in advance for stuff a lot of the time, unless we have like an event like rally. But yeah, long-winded answer. But.
No, you're good. You're good.
No, you're good. I tell them all the time. I do it too. Like I go 2 weeks at a time. For like what we do here.
Right.
So after we finish this episode, I go home, I chop it up, boom, 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 and then I schedule out for the whole week and I walk away. Because if you have to like literally go do everything, you will go nuts. Let's give those 2 people a shout out. Who are those 2 people that work with you guys?
Dakota Lynn. She's the director of operations. We love her. She's here today in Texas.
You.
She's roaming around Houston somewhere. And then also Cade Clark. So Cade is like our OG for the group. He's so amazing. He manages, he's like our community manager, and then also runs the Instagram page. And he's been with Build and Bloom probably since November, like a month after it came about. He helped a lot when we were about to do the workshop first. So we love both of them so much. They're amazing.
Dope. Mohammed is one of the guys. He works with us. He helps us develop content and everything. Shout out to Mohammed. He mentioned to me that you're going to Paris soon.
Yeah,
What's that all about?
I'm going to Paris on Saturday for the rest of the summer.
Oh wow.
Whoa.
Yeah, just because I
fun?
wanted to.
Oh, so it's just like a personal.
Yeah. I mean, I can work from anywhere, so like I might as well. If you guys want the real answer, I like don't like the heat in New York City. It's really
There we
disgusting.
go. I was waiting for you to admit it.
So I figured like I'm going with my best friend Jenny, but we've already traveled a lot together. We've done really long trips. We've been to like London and France like for 3 weeks last year. So we're like acquainted with that whole, I don't know, kind of style of traveling. So yeah, we're both going. She's a wedding photographer, so she's able to like she didn't have any weddings booked that time. So yeah, I mean, if I can work from anywhere, I might as well not be struggling through the nasty like 90-degree subway heat, at rush hour. I'd rather be in France.
How do you feel about the weather here then?
Actually, don't mind it.
Really?
It's the same. It's still humid, but I think it's not. It's like no smog, not all the
It's worse in New
people,
York.
the subway. It gets,
Yeah.
it's
It's
just
way hotter
amplified.
here.
It radiates off people in New York. Though in Houston,
Yeah.
people are like they they cut it as a loss. Like I live
And
in Texas.
you have like space between them when you're walking.
Yeah,
It's not,
exactly.
like,
Instead of subway,
packed
you're
in.
just
In New York,
jam-packed.
you get on the L. I remember getting on the L and I felt someone's heat coming off next to
Yeah,
me.
beautiful.
That was the weirdest. Literally, I sit down
Or,
and I
like,
could
their
feel
breath.
it radiating off me, and I was like, no, I could never
Yeah.
live here.
I was never in, because I've lived in New Jersey, so I was never in New York.
I love
So
New Jersey so
yeah,
much.
so when everybody would complain about the heat in Jersey, I was like, "What the hell are you guys talking about?" But I could completely understand the whole New York situation because the
Yeah.
proximity and everything.
Yeah. It's just yeah.
Yeah. But who do you look up to?
Okay. Ooh, that's a good question.
Because I mean, I know there's
Yeah.
you have like a group of 40,000 people in it. You have so many
Yeah.
followers on IG, and I know there's a lot of people who look up to you. But who
Yeah.
do you know, like, where do you get inspiration from?
In terms of photography and just like brand, like almost more as like a role model in the whole industry, I would say Jenna Williams. She is a Southern California based wedding photographer. She shoots film and digital, and she's been killing it ever since photography I feel like became more of a thing on social media, like teaching. I really look up to her, and I also just like her overall lifestyle. She's super healthy. She's always like exercising or like reading her Bible or whatever. And she just seems very friendly. I know like on social media a lot of stuff can seem fake, but she's really transparent. And then also her work is really well, and so is her work is beautiful. And then her work ethic too. So I just really love everything about Jenna Williams. Like, she's my queen. If I could job shadow her, I would die. Yeah. So she launched a group called the Inspired Club. I don't think it's on Facebook. It's on like a different platform, but she launched that within the past year or so. But I've just always really admired her. And then I also really like, okay, who is it? This is, I'm gonna have to edit it. I also really admire, just in terms of life, is Christine Kane. She's my queen. She's a pastor in California, I think. I actually don't know what church she pastors. I mostly hear her through my church. I go to Hillsong. So I really, really love her. I feel like when you want to look up to somebody, like when it comes to photography, you need to like look at everything about them, because who you choose to look up to is going to say a lot about you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, and also your leadership style.
Christine Kane is tough.
Yeah,
She's tough.
She's amazing.
Like I heard her speak live one time, and I was like, I didn't know who she was, and she got up there, and it was like the power she had, like through her words and the way she would talk. I was like almost shaking. I was like, oh my god, who is this woman?
Yeah,
she's
so
crazy.
sick. So yeah.
Oh, I was going to ask you the same question. Who do you look up? Because I know you're also a photographer, but you have a heavy marketing influence. So I'm interested to see what you say.
Yeah. So okay, in terms of photography, definitely Jason Lee Perry. He's a film photographer, and he does a lot of campaign work, like the kind of stuff where he really inspired me over the past. So I've been freelancing now for 3 months, I think, since I quit the whole tech startup world and the whole marketing world. And since I moved into that industry, I was like, okay, I'm not like, while I was doing that on the side, I was telling you guys earlier, like I was managing a ton of clients on retainer and just doing a lot of lifestyle type shoots. And I saw this dude doing campaigns for the Kugels and for Lovers and Drifters Club, and just a ton of big brands that like everyone I know loves and would want to wear. And then I went to Paris and I saw the video that I saw him post, and I think Emrata was a part of it, Lucas Sabat was a part of it, and then I saw it in person, like on a screen in a store, and like something clicked with me. I was like, oh my god, that is so cool. Like to think that like his family and friends will walk in there and see his work selling clothes. That's like the best way like to like merge the worlds of marketing photography, is to know that like something you create is going to be used to sell a product in store. Like that blew my mind. So he is definitely like a total beast in the whole photography world, and he's also just like a vibey dude. I like him a lot. He's definitely a role model. And then in terms of marketing and anything affiliated with business, there's two people. There is my friend Ja'Cory. He's like one of my best friends, but I still look up to him. Like I attribute a lot of my success to him, just because like I know he did not give me any motivation or any drive. Like, yes, I had that willpower, like that was me, but he definitely taught me a lot. And anytime I asked him a question, he would answer it. And he just like really was the first person. Like I grew up in a really like normal middle class home that just said like, hey, you go to school, you hope that you make up to a 50K salary one day, and you just live a blue collar life, and that's it. And like this dude, I had one phone call with him, and in like one phone call, I think it was like a 30-minute call, he just crushed that and said like, you can literally do anything you want. But like people had told me that before, but he literally like showed me, he's like, this is my background and this is where I'm at now. And he told me the tools that got him there. Like he gave me every tool and he did it within 30 minutes. And I was like, all right, like that's sick. And I still like, I literally worked side by side with him at a tech startup for 8 months, and he's still like biggest role model. And then the other would be DP, who is the CEO of that tech startup. And he's like this European dude that just like moved when he was like a kid. He'd been developing games since he was 16. He built like, do you remember the old Aladdin game where it's just like he built that game, The Matrix, like he built a ton of games. He sold his company Gaikai to Sony. It was a gaming company. He sold it to Sony like 2 years ago for like $400 million. Oh, wow. And the dude is crazy. And he just like, you'll talk to him and he's just like, you know, those business people that are just like so like on another level, like when you talk to them, they're so chill about the information they give you. You're just like, this is going around in your head and you don't even like, you're not even fazed by what you're saying right now. Like he's talking to me and I'm just like, all right, I'm going to go like sit down for 24 hours in a dark room and just
perspective. Yeah.
That's what I just felt when you were just telling us about the whole Mark. I was like, oh, so, and you're just like, oh, okay. I was like, oh, okay. I've been doing everything wrong.
Oh, dude, when I get the chance, like when people will ask, I'll talk so fast because I'm like, I want you to know every bit of information in like 5 minutes, and then hopefully you want to talk more about it later.
But I think that's like with any type of creative, like when we're excited about something and we're able to talk about it and share it, we just go on and on and on. And next thing you know, we're like, oh wait, what was the question, or what was I saying?
Yeah.
And it's just like it becomes like, oh, then next thing you know, you probably didn't tell like your whole life story within like 2 minutes. And
there's you guys like, dude, just what lens do you use? That's all I want to know.
We all started when I was like 5, and the next thing you know, you're just like telling them everything.
Oh my God. Yeah.
But so with Build and Bloom, with all these different cities you guys have gone to and are going to, what do y'all want the people to leave with? Like, what is the one thing you want them to leave with when they walk outside of these doors? Like,
I think the one thing I want everybody to come in with is I want them to feel welcome, and then I want them to leave feeling like they can go out into their local community and make a difference and speak up and use their voice and mentor people and just step up with the tools and the skills that they already have and that they also learned at our workshops. So one important thing is at our workshops, we don't teach them like how to edit, how to shoot, how to pose models, because they already know that from YouTube or other photography courses. We want them to have real life skills that they can apply into their job or into their work so that it can further, honestly, their career and probably change the, if I can be so bold to say, like change the course of their life and their family's lives, because a lot of the kids who come in, they're younger and they've we always go into it, and I always say before we do like a little like a meeting that 90% of the kids who come in have never been told that they can do something or that this is possible to still pursue an art, because there are so many different facets to photography. It's awesome because it's art therapy, like when you really get down to it, and then it also combines an actual like job skills and career, and I think that's what's so beautiful about photography. And so we're teaching more of those job skills that I don't even think you can learn at like SVA or like an art school. You could really only learn through kind of figuring it out. Maybe it'll become more readily available, but we really want to bring that
I tell
to them.
like anybody asks me about, because we talk about that. Some people say go to creative school. Some people say, I tell everybody go to business school.
Yeah.
You can learn all the photography stuff through, trial and error. So, but business, like it helps you so much more if you know exactly what you're doing from the jump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a question and then it went out. Just hold on one second.
Oh, you're good, man.
But just piggybacking off her answer too, like I think it's definitely the same for me. I want people to come feeling welcomed. Like we both had the same goal. Like with me with Hive and her at Build and Bloom, like when we came together, it was always leave feeling welcome, leave feeling like you have community. But you guys know, like the creative space is cutthroat. People are mean. I think one of the biggest things they need to know too is like there's enough money to go around for everybody. And people, that's one of Jessica's things is like there's a spot at the table for everyone. And I think everyone always says like it's such an oversaturated market.
No, I like to talk like right now in Houston, there might be 10,000 people that have DLSRs. Let's even jump it up to 50,000.
Yeah.
There's 5 million people here. So
that's exactly how
it's there's no way that, and let's say out of the 5 million, 1 million of them have the money to spend on photography.
Yeah.
Let's say 500,000 of them have the money.
Yeah.
That's still one photographer to go around. So a lot of people, when they don't realize that there's tons of people to go around. Now, let's say you get, out of that 10,000 photographer or 50,000, 1,000 of them are like legit. And then out of that 1,000, 100 of them are like badass. So out of those 100, it's plenty of stuff to go around. There's a lot of stuff to go around. And that was like one of the things why we started the podcast, because we wanted to continue to give people the perspective of, just from different creatives, different influences and everything like that, so that they would have the tools and the knowledge to continue, to push forward on whatever they wanted to do. Because a lot of times, like you said, a lot of the kids aren't told, hey, you can do that. That's the number one thing I tell everybody. Like, you come to me with an idea, do it. Just get it done. Like, go get out here and go do it. Don't tell me about it. Go do it. Like, make it happen, because it won't happen until you start taking the steps and making it happen. Something that's been on my mind the whole time, and I can't help it. I'm sorry. Are those diamonds on your teeth?
Yeah. I knew coming to Texas with these on would be bad. I moved to West Hollywood like a week ago, and I mean, Jess knew me before West Hollywood. I lived in Newport Beach, and like that week move just changed me so much, like from the way I dressed to getting diamonds on my teeth. Like, you can be weird out there, and I love it. Like, literally, I had a friend over, and there's this place by me called GBY Beauty. Shout out to GBY Beauty if you're listening. They basically, so she has like a brand deal with them, and she gets like free tooth gems and stuff, and free eyelashes, stuff like that, free facials. And so she was like, yeah, I'm going to go get like a tooth gem. I'm going to go get a star on my tooth. And I was like, oh, okay, word. And she's like, you want to come? And I was like, yeah. And I get there and like, do you want some too? And I'm like, yeah, could you do something? And they're like, yeah, like, what do you want? I was like, I don't know, like, just do anything. And I just looked in the mirror, and they put these gems on my canines, and I was like, this is tight. This is tight.
Johnny Dang got some competition now.
Dude, somebody saw it the other day, and they're like, you should get a full grill. And I was like, whoa. Way too SoundCloud rapper. I'm like one grill away from looking like a SoundCloud rapper.
One grill away and probably a few face tattoos. You gotta have the face tattoos.
SoundCloud rappers. Yeesh, those guys.
It's cool now, man.
No, it's like
it's
crazy.
Cool to be a SoundCloud rapper now.
And I wonder how they like developed that algorithm that shot them out there. Or was it really like just pure talent, like a bunch of kids saying, yo, we really like this?
Plans,
or
what is it?
What happened to, because I swear it's like a certain group of them, and they all just like,
Awesome.
One of my friends told me the other day, there's like an incubator, and all of these like SoundCloud rappers with face tats are just industry plans. People are looking around for kids with face tats that look kind of vibey on Instagram, and they're teaching them how to lay down a track and like how to like just lay down a couple bars, and they're like, okay, go ahead. And they're just planting them. Like this one dude, Paris, he's on the come up right now, and he's just like kind of taking over Peep's like realm of fans, and it just blew my mind hearing that there's actually just a bunch of industry plans.
Yeah, and somebody gave me some perspective the other day. Shout out to DJ Mr. Rogers. He sat down and showed me. And are you familiar with Cole Bennett?
Yes. Wait. No. I'm thinking of someone else.
Cole Bennett is he's a videographer, and essentially what he does is if he like shoots your video, it's takeoff. So what he does is, and I honestly too, like what you're saying, I feel like some of the people in the industry are coming to him and saying, hey, that guy over there, because he doesn't take money from the industry. Pretty much he gets all the money from the videos, because his videos are doing like 50 million views. He's done
that's crazy.
Like there's this new kid, Juice World.
Yeah. Okay. Did he do Juice's video?
Yeah, he's done his stuff. So you get what I'm saying? He's like falling in that line of those guys, and every one of those guys' videos are like, the lowest I've seen was 5 million, but I think it was like brand new.
I gotta check this guy out.
Yeah, that's so I'll show it to you. I don't know if the industry is like giving him money, but he's like, he figured it out. He's like, look, I'm killing it on YouTube. I'm killing it on IG. Why should I take you guys a little $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 when I could just kill it on YouTube and monetize the hell out of this? So that was really, really dope.
He's probably just that go-to guy. It's like, oh, if you want to pop.
No. He doesn't. He picks.
Oh, he picks.
He picks. You can't come. I mean, you could pay him, but the amount. Think about it. How much do you want to pay for 50 million views?
A lot.
So yeah.
True.
But did you?
So my question came back. You mentioned mentoring earlier.
Yeah.
How important is mentoring to you, and Like, do you have a mentor, or have you had a mentor?
Yeah, that's such a good question. I've never gone to ask that question, but I really do believe in mentoring, both being mentored and then also having one. So for me, that kind of started out just like when I was in high school and college, I served a lot in junior high and high school ministry at my church back in Washington. And that's the leaders who poured into me there really just honestly shaped my leadership style. That's why I refer to Christine Kane as a role model, because with Build and Bloom, like I am leading a team, and so they kind of share those same values and just instilled that it's really important to be poured out into, and then also to pour out into others and to serve and to give your time and volunteer. And mentoring is a huge key, because you need somebody to walk with you, like, because even though I have, the pastors and everything, you need somebody like on that daily, somebody who is like specific to you almost and has walked a similar journey, so that you do respect them and like you will take their advice, because sometimes you can't relate on certain things, whatever it might be. So I just play that into the community space. I think that in photography, you can get a mentor even just in photography, like in the industry. It doesn't have to be spiritual, though it usually is better when it is your entire life wrapped up into one package. But even if that means you're just going to reach out to your favorite photographer in Houston and ask if you can job shadow them or be their apprentice. You don't have to say intern, because when you say job shadow, that usually indicates just like a day or two. They don't feel like they have to, like, oh, I don't have the budget. They're more likely to say yes. And so when I went to trade school in high school for fashion merchandising, and we were really taught the importance of job shadowing. And so I think that plays into mentorship. And then once you feel like they might be a good fit because they're working in they're doing what you want to do essentially, or some realm of that, then you can see if they'd be interested in mentoring you. But then I do have a mentor in New York City. Her name's Mary Beth. She's so amazing. And then I had some when I was in college as well. My other mentor is Jasmine. She was my mentor when I was in school back in New York. And then I don't mentor anyone, because I feel like for me, it's a little bit, you have to be a little bit more qualified.
Yeah.
She mentors me.
But,
you mentor me for sure.
But I just think it's so key, important aspect of community, because you have somebody's lead to follow. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't have community if you don't have somebody who's gonna
I totally
keep you in check.
agree.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing yours would probably be Jacory, right? Would you say
okay,
Jacory, or have you had other
mentor.
ones?
I think he's more of someone I look up to, but
Okay.
like, I don't know, we're way too close for him to be a mentor. I think right now, biggest mentors are just all of the people that I worked with in the tech space. Like there's a lot of developers that were really crazy. Like they were the most talented people I knew. And so for me right now, I want my mentors to be people that are doing something I haven't done yet, like some adult stuff, like being a developer, a software engineer. Like I'd way rather have that be my mentor, because like I do a lot of web design on the side too. And so like I have those mentors now that I can call and I can be like, hey man, like what's a jQuery library or like something like that. And they can help me with that. And for me right now, I feel like I'm young enough to a point where I don't have to master one thing yet. I can still keep knowing a little about a lot. Mm-hmm. And I think once I want like a full-time, like one mentor, that's when I'm going to start learning a lot about a little. And I'm not ready for that yet.
I like that you mentioned a lot about, or
a little about a lot.
A little bit of
There's a little about a lot. Yeah, right.
You guys know what I'm saying. I haven't really dived all the way into your photography, but I've looked into yours, and I see that you just shoot a couple different genres. Why is that?
I mostly, wait, what do you mean?
Like I've seen wedding work on your photos. I've seen editorial. I've seen portraits and things like that. And I've heard, and I feel like a lot of people feel like you have to, niche, with your photography. But I see that you don't, and you're still doing really well. Yeah. Why is that?
Okay, there's two aspects to my photography business, which is still like, I don't even think, I have a photography business, but it's so like on the backside of my mind, my focus. So, okay, with photography, because I have YouTube, I'm able to make whatever videos I want and still make it successful. And that sounds like weird to say, but I can do studio shoots because I'm going to be partnered with Savage Paper, which is one of the leading suppliers in seamless paper, or I can do a video on, my favorite thing to shoot personally in terms of my clients is engagements. Weddings are great because they like pay the bills, but it's a lot of pressure and responsibility.
That's why my hair is so gray.
But so most of my clients are engagements, or also I do like blogger stuff in New York City. Mm-hmm. and then senior portraits. I did a lot more senior portraits last year, not so much this year, I think because I'm like gone during that season. But I feel like YouTube has enabled me to diversify and still be able to take time to do more of those shoots that are like fun or like editorial. I feel like my stuff is not editorial, but more in that kind of realm where it's more, I don't know, just like creative, just girly things. And then also with my clients. So I market myself on my own Instagram more in an influencer aspect so that I do attract those influencers and those couples or whatever it might be, because I'm painting an illustration of I live in New York like this. These are my photographs, whatever, like of me just living my life, so that they look at that and say, if I hire Jessica Whitaker to do my, senior portraits, then I'm going to have like this glimpse into like a New York City lifestyle. So everything is really strategic, but yeah, that enables me to do multiple different areas. I think though, if I didn't have a YouTube, I would still do those shoots for fun, but I think it would just look a lot different and I would do less of them,
That makes sense. You got anything?
No, man, I'm good. We really appreciate you guys.
Yeah, we definitely
Thank you so
appreciate
much.
y'all. Y'all brought the cool and not so cool.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of knowledge. I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to the workshop. So
yeah, we're so excited.
we're good, right?
No, I'm great, man. I'm good.
So we'll wrap it up here, guys. Y'all have anything y'all want to say before we?
No, just thanks for having us. I know that was random that I came into. She just hit
we appreciate it big time, for real,
Yeah.
for real.
Yeah.
No, it was no problem at all. I mean, you gave out a lot of good information, and I'm looking forward, like I said, to hear what you got to say at the workshop. So I'm definitely looking forward to it.
They can join Build and Bloom on Facebook.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have show notes?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you put the Build and Bloom. So if you're a photographer out there, whether you're professional or amateur, if you just got your camera for Christmas and you haven't touched it in like a year since then, or you've been shooting like every day for the past 3 years of your life, then Build and Bloom is a space for you. We do in-person events monthly. Actually, we just launched a meetup group for girls interested in media art. So it could be videography, marketing, photography, blogging, whatever aspect that looks like to you. We're in 10 cities across the United States. So we have one here in Houston as well as Dallas, and then we're constantly opening up because we just launched an ambassador program. So chances are, if you're a girl out there, high school, middle school, whatever, college, definitely check out the show notes, register for Sister. If you don't see it in your city, you can apply to be ambassador and bring it to you. And then also Build and Bloom, we do workshops around the nation.
Shouldn't say any guys, but it's okay, guys.
I'm going to lead the guy meetings.
Well, guys, now we appreciate y'all having on. You want to sign us out?
Oh, yeah. Hey, guys, thanks for tuning in to the Not So Cool podcast, where we make not being cool.